this recorded webinar. It's only recording the actual voice and the slide. The chat will not be part of the recording, so feel free to type in any comments or questions there. Okay, so I think I'm not skipping any housekeeping items here, so let's go ahead and begin. A little bit about me. I'm Angela Gama. I'm an instructional technology trainer here for Modesto City Schools. Alexandra and I pretty much take care to help all you guys with the training of the tech you use at work or in the classroom. Well, now our homes, right? So you can reach out to us. Here's my email and my phone number. If you have any questions or training needs, let us know. We can support one-on-one appointments during this time so we can address those specific needs that you may have. Okay, so what are we going to focus on the next 30 to 40 minutes? It's going to be on what is a Google Doc. We're going to talk about that, how we create or import these type of files, how we edit them and format the documents, how to share and collaborate on files. I'm going to give you a quick tips on what we can do to collaborate more productively in these types of files. And if we ever need them to be in a different format, how to download those in different formats and how to email them directly from Google. And we'll open a Q&A session at the end. I can demo live if you need me to go live and show you in my Google how to do specific things that you may want to see. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what is a Google Doc. So a Google Doc is your web-based word processor. So you may all be familiar with Microsoft Word, this famous application that we all use to write our essays, write any documents. Well, Google has its own version and it's a Google Doc. This is really nice because we don't need to have a specific application installed in our device. These type of files are all web-based. That means that anyone that has a Google account or that doesn't have a Google account can access those files. Now, another benefit of using a Google Doc is that it is saved in our Google Drive, and that means that we can collaborate live by it being stored in our cloud. So we can work together in the same document at the same time, and our changes are being saved automatically. Now, how do I create a brand new Google Doc? So there are different options for us to begin. The first option is straight from our google.com website. If we are signed in to our Google account, you will see that you have that avatar with your initial, and next to it, there is this waffle icon. If you click on the waffle icon, you will see the menu of different Google applications. And among those options, you will find the Google Docs. You will see it with that blue sheet of paper. So that's the icon for Google Docs. You can click there and boom, you're in your Google Doc dashboard that we will talk about in a second. The second option is if you're already in your Google Drive, you can start a brand new Google Doc. If you click on that new button that you will find on the top left corner of your screen, and that menu has the option to start a Google Doc. So you just click new and then Google Doc, and then you're in your Google Doc editor to start a document. The third would be the fastest way to access it because it's a quick URL that you can just type in the URL field of your Google Chrome browser. You just type in docs.google.com and that will take you directly to your Docs dashboard. So there's different ways, whichever you feel more comfortable or depending on where you're at, what you're working on during that specific moment is how you can access your Google Docs. Okay, so if you click on some of those options, specifically, let me go back, specifically number 1 and number 3 will take you directly to your Docs dashboard. This Docs dashboard is going to filter all your Google Docs from your Google Drive. So you will see below this area that I have here in this image, below you will have a list of all the Google Docs that you already have. But if you want to start a brand new Google Doc, you can start by clicking on the blank spot right there with the plus sign, and that's going to take you to a brand new Google Doc for you to start creating your document. Now, Google Docs also has some templates that you can select so you don't start your document from scratch. So if you know you're going to write a resume or a report or an essay, Google has really nice templates that you can click on, and then you have already some formatting started for you. So you just plug in your information there and you're done. Now, if you're going to need a template, don't forget to explore more of these templates. The ones that are displayed there are not the only ones that they have. Click on the template gallery and you will be taken to another window where there's going to be more options for you to select. So you can either start a brand new blank document or start with one of the templates that Google provides. Now, let's say I already have a bunch of Microsoft Word documents created in my computer, and I want to transition to a Google Doc environment, whether it is because my students are more comfortable working in a Google Doc than Microsoft Word. Definitely, there's less of a learning curve for Google rather than Microsoft. Or I've seen that a lot of the new leadership prefers to work in Google. So as a department, we're going to opt to work in Google. So I can convert all of my Microsoft Word documents in a Google Doc file. So it's super simple to do this. I just need to go to my Google Drive and I'm going to upload the files that I have in my computer to my Google Drive by following these steps. Now, if you want to open your Microsoft Word, you will see that it will have that W icon indicating that's an actual Word document. If you right click on it, you can select open with, and then it'll have the Google Docs option there for you. So you can go ahead and select Google Docs and boom, you will have your Microsoft Word in a Google Doc environment. So it's as easy as that. Okay, so what does your Google Doc window looks like? So when you start a brand new Google Doc, you will have this window here. Let me go ahead and mute those participants that just came in. Perfect. So in this window, publisher, it says there's a question in the chat. Does this work with already made publisher documents also? It does a pretty good job converting Microsoft Word documents to Google as far as graphics goes. The publisher ones, I'm not sure if it automatically turns all your objects into images and text. So I would have to give it a shot, like try it out and see what the conversion looks like. But I haven't tried it out, to be honest. So the elements of my Google Doc is the number one piece is the name of your document. So when you start a brand new document, it's going to say untitled document. I highly recommend that as soon as you start a brand new document, come here, change the document name, because as you start clicking on new document over and over again, it's going to create these untitled documents in your Google Drive. So it's better to identify these documents by naming them. The second option there, this number 2, is this star the document. So there is an area in your Google Drive, if you already participated in that webinar, you probably remember that on the left-hand side, you have an area called starred. So That means that if you click on this little star, this document will now live in that area as well. So it's kind of like a nice shortcut for you to access those files that you frequently work with. Then we got the number 3, which is an option for me to select the folder in my Google Drive where I want this document to be in. So instead of closing the document, going to my Google Drive and dragging this document to the folder that I want it in, I can directly from here select which folder in my Google Drive I want to store this file. The number 4 is to add a comment. We'll look more closely at how to add comments in specific parts of our document, but this is to add a comment in for the entire document, not for a specific chunk of text or a word. This is for like the overall document. Number 5 is if I want to share, whether it is to collaborate with others live, to allow others to comment, or to view my document, this is where we'll come and we'll revisit this option later. And the 6th is the Google account. So you can see which Google account you're signed in and working in this specific Google Doc. It's important to pay attention which Google account you're signed into because a lot of us have personal Google accounts. And when we access our personal Google account in our work computer, or if we're using a personal device to create Google Docs for work, uh, we need to make sure that we're logged in to the correct account to make sure that the document is created in the correct Google Drive. I've seen a lot of times that someone is looking for a specific document and they happen to realize that they had it in their personal account instead of their work account. So pay attention here. You can see which account you're using. And the beauty of this is that, like I mentioned, no need to save this document. All changes are being saved automatically for you. No fear that if your computer crashes or I don't know, anything unexpectedly happens. That never happens with technology, right? Your work is going to be saved. There's no risk there. So that's really nice. I have a question. Is Google Doc compatible with Apple Mac Pages? Ooh. I'm not a Mac user, so that's an unknown for me. I can research and get back to you, or unless any of our participants already knows this answer, they can help me out with that. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the editing and formatting for the documents. So the number 1 thing is how to add text. So it's as easy as clicking in the white space in her page, and we will see the cursor blinking. It's that vertical little line that indicates where in my document my text is going to appear as I start typing. So it's just a matter of clicking on that page and then I can start typing. Now in our toolbar, this area here under all my labeled numbers, you can see that difference between a Microsoft Word. This is a more simpler toolbar, less intimidating, and we have the great majority of our options that we need right there. So these is breaking those up. So the first set of options is to undo or redo the last changes or print the document. The paint brush there is to copy formatting from any text and applying it to another selection. This is a great time saver. I use this a lot. Let's say you have a sentence that you change the font, change the color, change the size. I can then select that sentence, click on this little guy, and then select the other text that I want to copy that format to. So I don't have to repeat the steps of changing the font, changing the size, changing the color over and over again. I just use this guy to copy that formatting. The next ones are to change the style, font, or font size. Those are pretty straightforward. Also these, the bold, italics, underline, and then change the text color. Then I can highlight my text. This is just giving it a background color. and I can insert a link, comment, or an image. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later on. The text alignment. So if I want my text centered or justified, aligned to the left or the right, I just select the corresponding option. And I can change my line spacing. If I need it single space, double space, I can adjust my spacing there together with my numbered and bulleted lists. I can also add a text indentation using those little icons, and then I can remove any text formatting. This is very handy when I'm copying text from a website, for instance, or another document. I bring it over and it has like a complete different formatting style than my text that I have. I can just select it, remove the text formatting. It's going to bring it back to the default formatting for my document. There's someone who posted the answer for that Google Doc and Apple save pages as .rtf, and it should work. Thank you very much, Brett. Okay, so now another common thing we may need to do when working in a Google Doc is adding some objects. I'm going to talk about the most popular type of objects we can add to our Google Doc. So the first one would be to add an image. If I go to my Insert menu, I'm going to select the image option. And I mean, Google has a lot of options for me to insert an image. And the one that I like a lot is the second one, to search the web. I don't need to open a brand new browser to search for my image and bring it to my Google Doc. I'm going to have a nice search image window right there. I type the keyword of what I need to look for, select the image, insert, and I'm done. Now, if I already have it saved in my computer, I can certainly use the upload from computer option. If I have something saved in my drive and photos, if I know the URL, or if I want to take a picture using my device camera. So those are the options that I have when selecting the insert image. Now, the other thing I may need to use is to structure uh, my my Google Doc would be a table. So I can then select the size of my table, selecting the number of rows and columns. With my mouse, I just go to the end of my table and I just click, and then boom, my table is created inside of my document, ready for me to start typing inside of those cells. I can add additional rows and columns after the initial creation of the table, and we'll see where I can find all those options. Now, another thing I can add is charts. It's nice to visualize my information in a graphic way, so I can go ahead and select charts, and I have different types of charts there: bar, column, line, a pie chart, or if I have already one created in Sheets, which is the equivalent of Microsoft Excel. If I have already worked on Sheets, I can bring one that I already have in one of those files. And the other one is a link. So if I need my document to have links to external websites or pages, I can go ahead and click link. I add the text of what I want my link to look like, and then I can enter the URL in that bottom box, and then I hit apply, and then my link has been created. So it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward to insert any of these types of objects. I have a question come in. If you send someone a Google Doc and they have Word, will they be able to open it in Word? I will go ahead and talk about that later in our webinar. The answer would be yes, but there's a caveat to that. If you insert a picture, table, or drawing and you don't like where it was placed, can you move it around? Definitely, yes, you can move it around. It's really simple. You can drag it around the page. You can copy or cut and paste it in a different part of your document. If dragging it around is a little bit too complicated, you can definitely do that. Uh, So we can go ahead and show you live how we do that at the end. Okay, now depending on how many different objects you have in your Google Doc, and by object, I mean something besides text. So an image, a table, a chart, these are objects that I insert in my Google Doc. Now, when I have those specific or different types of objects, those have their own additional options to format, to give it a different style, to change around. So when you have those objects, you can pull up these particular options for those. For instance, I have the table and image options. So you can add a background color to a table, change the border color, the width, the style. You can crop an image. You can change the color, transparency, brightness, or contrast, and replace an existing image with a new one. There's a few more, but these are the most popular ones. Just make sure you click on the object for you to see these specific formatting options in your toolbar. And I have an example for what I mean about this. So for instance, I'm working in this Google Doc and I see that my cursor is right after that text, that first sentence, right? And my toolbar just has the text formatting tools. Now, let's say I want to modify my table that I have below the text. I want to change the background color. I want to change the borders. What I need to do to have the tools for my table pop up is to actually click on the object. So you notice on the image below, I actually have my cursor inside of my table. That means that in my toolbar, I have those additional options that apply to my table. So that being said, if I have an image and I like to change the transparency, the brightness, I need to click on the actual image to see those options in my toolbar. And this is a common problem when you're working here and you say, oh, I can't find the option. Where's that tool? So just click on the object and you'll see them magically appear in your toolbar. Now, another thing you may need is to add columns to your page. So it is super simple to create different columns if you want your text to be structured in this way. You can find this option in the format menu, and then there's an option that says columns towards the center or towards the middle of this dropdown, and you can select the amount of columns you wish to have. Now in Google Docs, so the maximum amount of columns is 3. So that's even when you have your page in landscape mode. So if you want to have additional columns to structure your text, I recommend using the table option, which allows you to add as many columns as you like. You just set like transparent border colors so you don't see those lines, but still you have that nice layout for your text. Now, that's just a few of the things you can do inside of a Google Doc. You're probably comfortable already in doing some of that. If you are experienced in Microsoft Word, you probably have like most of those options. Google Docs is less robust. So if you need, for instance, to mail merge or do like more advanced items, probably Microsoft Word will still be the best option, but you can do most of your text editing, the basic needs for that in a Google Doc. So I didn't want to spend too much time diving into each individual option you have available. I want to focus more in the sharing piece and collaboration, which is like the power in a Google Doc. So when you share a Google Doc, you have the option of sharing it in 2 basic ways. The first one that we probably all seen is sharing it with a link. So click here to open this document. If you do that, you just need to go and locate in the top right corner of your screen, share button. So if I want to share the document that I'm working on with a group of people in my department, I can go and locate that share button in the top right corner. click share, and I'll have this menu show up that says share with others. I will go ahead and click on the number 2 there that says advanced. After I click on the number 2, I will have the sharing settings. The sharing settings, I will be able to tell who has access to my document currently. So for instance, this one here says that my document is currently private and my name is there as the owner of that document. So I want to change that because I want to share my document. So I'm going to click on that number 3 that says change. So once I click on the number 3, I need to think of 2 things. The first thing is, who am I going to give access to my Google Doc? Do I want people outside of Modesto City Schools to be able to access my Google Doc, or only people within my organization? So the first and second option, I would select if I really don't care if people outside of Modesto City Schools have access to that link. So I would click on the radio button for the first or the second. Now, the third and fourth is restricting that only people within Modesto City Schools can click and open that document. That means that when someone clicks on that document, they will have to verify the credentials by signing in using their MCS account, and then they will have whichever access you're giving them. Now, let's say you have a few links out there and you all of a sudden decide, no, this is getting out of control. People are sharing my link over and over again. Too many people have access. You can come in and turn off that sharing piece by just accessing this same area with the steps that I showed you before, and then click off, and that disables all links that are out there. So this is not like a all or nothing kind of deal. You can share it, but you can also unshare it whenever you like. So now the second thing you need to think about when sharing your document is, what kind of access am I going to give these people? So the option I selected there is that only people in Modesto City Schools can access my document. Now I need to determine if they can edit. And this is great if I want those people with the link editing my document. If I, divvied up the work and someone's going to do the intro, I'm going to do the second paragraph. This is great for group projects for kids, or to create a more comprehensive document with a group of people. So you would select the edit part. The second option is to comment. So I don't want anybody messing with the body of my document, but I'm going to let them comment, probably suggest some changes, asking if I should verify this, giving me some feedback. That's giving them a little bit more restrictions, but also opening it up for them to say something about the content, if that kind of explains it. The third one is to view. So this is not giving them any editing rights. They can only view the document, and they can create their own copy if they want to make any changes to it. So this will keep your original intact, and they can go ahead and play with their own copy and alter that one. So you need to select what type of access they get, and then you can go ahead and share the link that's created. You can copy it and paste it in an email, in a website, a blog, your Schoology, anything that you use to share it to have people access it. You can paste the code. Then you will see that when you access your Google Drive, that specific Google Doc will have those two little avatars next to it, indicating that it's a shared document. Now, the other way to share it is specifying which individuals have access. I don't want to share it with a link because it's going to give too many people access. This document has sensitive information and I don't want it out there. So you can go to that share button in the top right corner, and you're just going to enter the names of those that you want to give access to. This is tied to our directory, so you just start typing the few first characters of the email and their names will come up. Click on the name, and then on the right hand side of their names, you can add more people to them, by the way, but then you can select, okay, Alexandra Hancock right now as it is can edit, but I can change her permissions to can comment or can view. The number 4 there is if I want to give her a little bit more context as of why I'm sharing this document with her, what I need her to do in the document, maybe if we haven't discussed it yet. And then I'm going to click on number 5. I can come and repeat the steps if I want to share it with multiple people, giving them each different permission. So let's say I want Alexandra to edit, but I also want to share it with Matthew and he can only view. So I come here and do this again, but changing the permission for Matthew. So that's really nice. So when you are sharing items, you can also come back and change their permissions. So let's say Alexandra is making way too many edits and she's changing my documents when we didn't agree to those changes, whatever reason it may be. I can come back here and change her editing permission to view only permission or to comment so she doesn't continue messing up my document. I can also unshare it completely, so I can remove her from this list and she will no longer have access. Add comments and replies in docs. This is a great feature that you have in a document to add a comment for specific parts of your document. So you can select the text or the paragraph that you like to create a comment on, and you will see this icon that has that comment with the plus sign, and then you will click plus, and it'll open on the right-hand side a panel for you to enter your comment. And this is really, really nice because you can, in a way, tag people so they know that you're asking that person specifically and it's not like a comment to everyone who has access. So you can assign specific items to different people that you're sharing this document with. So I can say, hey, Alexandra, so I put the plus sign, Alexandra Hancock, can you please proofread this paragraph for me? And then it's technically assigning that to her. So this is really nice. If you are collaborating with a group, go ahead and explore this option. The other thing you can do when collaborating with a group is to suggest edits instead of editing directly the document. So this is to be a little bit more cautious as far as what you change in the document. If you're not really sure if this is a change that is being approved by everyone, you can go ahead and change your mode to suggesting mode, and then any change will be highlighted in a different color, and whoever the owner is of this document can approve or reject the changes. So this is another cool thing that you can do in a Google Doc. There's also a chat piece that you can open up that will let you discuss some of the changes, some of the needs in that specific Google Doc. Next to everyone's name, there's this little icon with the avatar and the speech bubble, and it will open a panel on the right-hand side where you can have a live chat discussion with the group. Now, a question that came up, can I download my file when I need it in Microsoft Word or another type of format? Yes, you can. So if you share a Google Doc with someone, whenever they open that Google Doc, they can go into File, and then there's an option that says Download As, and then you will have a menu of the different formats that you can download the file as. So if we're talking about a Google Doc, you will have these type of options. If you see a Google Sheet, you will have Excel and all the different options for Excel. Google Slides will have its own set of options as well. So you can go and change the version or the format to a different kind. The other thing you can do is make a copy. Let's say you have a nice template going on and you just got to tweak one or two things. You can go ahead and click on File, make a copy, and then you can rename that brand new file. So it saves you a lot of work. And then I think this is the last one I'm going to talk about before we go into our Q&A is to email a copy as an attachment. So if you need to collaborate with someone in your file, and let's say this is the final copy, I am ready to send this as a PDF or any other type of format, I can go ahead and click on File, Email as Attachment, and it'll give me this nice window for me to select the format, add the recipients of the email, and it'll have the attachment of my current version of my Google Doc. Now, if I do this, I send them the PDF. That means that if I make any changes to my Google Doc, it will not be live. So that new person, well, that other person that has the PDF version will not see any of the new changes. Okay. Okay, so do we have any questions from the audience? Please feel free to post them in our chat. You guys been pretty quiet. Well, there's been a few questions come in, but and I appreciate every single one of those questions. So go ahead and post anything, or if there's something you need me to show you live. Yeah, of course. There's a request about wanting to show how to move a picture. I will go ahead and first paste in the chat that attendance form link. So feel free to complete that form. Let me go ahead and share my screen to show you how we can do that. Let me go ahead and go by one. I got somebody else in here with the question. Let me just go ahead and show you my screen. So I got this Google Doc going on, and you want me to show how we can move an image around. So I'm going to do it to the end. So wherever you have your cursor is where the image will be inserted. So pay attention to that part first before inserting anything. I'm going to search the web here. Let me move this guy. And here I'm going to search for polar bear. I'm going to click on the image. I have this little checkbox, and then I'm going to click insert. Here it is. I'm going to select it, and I have my little handles for me to resize it. And I think the key thing is to pay attention to the cursor that you have. So once you have those 4 arrows, you can grab it. Let's see. All image options. Let's wrap text. Break text. Adjustments. I need to move it. So I can go ahead and center it by going into this here. If I want to move it lower in my document, I can always use my cursor and hit return to move it to a lower area of my document. If I want to move it above the table, I can certainly go ahead and cut and then place my cursor in the new spot and then paste. It's slightly different than Microsoft Word. I will admit that, because in Word, it's kind of easier to just grab your object and move it around. I guess I can do that with the blue cursor here. It indicates where it's going to land. So there we go. You can't see the actual image floating around, but you can see that blue cursor indicating where your image will be. So just click, drag, and then release your mouse when you're ready to drop it in that new part of your document. I hope that answered that question. Let's see, will the person I send a document know if they can edit, comment, or just view? They will know, because when they receive the email, let me find one really quick in mind to show you exactly what it looks like. Here we go. So here, Anthony Luna shared a Google Doc. I can see the icon. It's called device handout, and it says has invited you to edit. So this will determine your permission when you receive an invitation, and then you can just click open in Docs, and then it'll open up in the new tab. Oops. Let's see. It says, I noticed that Swan worksheets I assign my students appear in Google Docs. I made comments. Will my students see these revised assignments? It depends on how you share those Google Docs with your students. Are you creating Google assignments? Are you sharing your Google Doc via link? It depends on a lot of how you share, what you do in school and Swan for them to access these worksheets. So I think I need to know a little bit more to give you a solid answer on that. Okay, before you leave, if you want to see what it's like to work in a single document, I have this practice Google Doc that says, what has been your favorite activity during this quarantine? I will go ahead and share it with all of you, giving you editing permissions. What I like you to do is just, because there's a few of us, just take one of these rows, type your name, and then next to it, your activity, or just add any comments for us to all see how cool it is to work live. So I'm going to click share to create that link. I'm going to go to advanced, and then I'm going to change the sharing settings, because right now it's just private. And I'm going to give anyone with the link. I don't want you to have to sign in. And I will go ahead and change it here. Anyone can edit. I will go ahead and save this. Right click, copy. And then I will go ahead and open my chat here. Paste it with right there. Now, if you just go ahead and click on this link, it'll open that Google Doc, and we can all start collaborating live. See how every single one of us has its own color? Well, some are repeated colors, but you can see exactly who is typing. So you kind of be like the fastest cowboy here to get that row. Otherwise, it's going to be already taken. So you gotta make sure you type super fast or go towards the bottom rows here. Awesome. So it's pretty instantaneous, like how fast I see each other's comments. See, there's the chat in the top part. Oh, you gotta be careful because any change that someone makes is going to be reflected in everyone's screen. There we go. There's a lot of silver linings in this situation, so it's good that we're all enjoying doing all sorts of activities that we're otherwise not able to do or didn't, you know, think of doing with our families. So good job, everyone. And thank you so much for spending time here with me this afternoon. I hope you enjoyed this webinar. I'm going to post that link again in the chat. If you're not able to come back to the call, I know Microsoft Teams is kind of new for us all. So if you get lost and can't come back, feel free to email me and I will send it out to you. Yes. And this course, this webinar counts towards that 0.5 too. So make sure that you complete that form so I can mark your attendance and you can have credit for this webinar. I'll hang out here in the call for about 5 to 10 more minutes in case you have additional questions. But if you feel that you're ready to leave this call, go ahead and hang up. You can close the tab where you have the Microsoft Teams. So if you were accessing it through the web version, you should have the tab next to this Google Doc that has the title Webinar Google Doc. You can click on the tab and that'll bring you back to the call. Or you can click on the actual Teams app that you have running if you're using the app.